This upper and lower receiver engraving took about 56 hours. Welcome back to the channel, guys. If you've been following this 308 build, today we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of relieving some weight off this receiver. So the last time you tuned in, obviously I've got the barrel on there just to keep the gas block and everything on there, and I did find that screw. So I've got the long barrel on there just for the time being to hold everything together. But we're most importantly, what we're interested in is relieving some some weight from this. And I need to sort of do a bit of in-depth measuring just to make sure we don't go too far and go through the receiver. But here's the introduction to this video and all the bits that I film here and there, because I'm going to be going backwards and forwards to the machine, to the PC. I'll record what I can, splice it all together in this video, and we'll see how much more weight we can relieve of this thing. We've already shed a kilo, which ain't a small number by any means. Let me just stand back here. And this thing, it sounds mad, a kilo, because obviously this rifle does weigh a fair bit, but it almost feels like my X-Class, super maneuverable, super light for its size, and it's just very manageable, and I do enjoy using it. We've still got to get rid of this here, so it's going to be slightly lighter, and then we're going to lighten the receiver as well. But even with the scope and the mount on here, the rifle is just so much more maneuverable. It was just like that little bit, that extra kilo just put it over the edge. And you know, when you're picking the rifle up, it was just like, oh god, I'm not looking forward to carrying this around for a weekend's event. So anyway, let's get into it, and all the bits that I film you'll see on the video. So let's get cracking. So with the receiver off, there is actually quite a bit of meat on here. I go from the thinnest part, which is the section just on the right hand side here of the ejection cover. So the thinnest part there is like 3 mil. The thickest part, where I want to remove most of the material, you're looking about 5.5 mil. So there's a lot of room there to play with. I don't expect to be removing tons of weight, but if we can remove like 100 grams maybe, all the best. So receiver's off. I'm gonna have to take some pictures of this because I want to map out the design and how I want to do it. It might take a bit of time, so this video is going to be a long one for me in terms of recording time, but seconds for you guys in the video. So there's going to be a lot of areas I need to look at, and when I get to the next stage and we start removing some material, we'll be back on camera. I've got the upper receiver completely stripped down. It's nice and easy enough. Lower receiver completely stripped down, and this just means that moving it around, measuring, I haven't got to move around a full rifle. I could just do the receiver. I'm not sure whether to lighten any more of the parts. I don't really see the point. They've used a normal M4 sized stock tube, and you'll have seen with that Magpul stock going on, this fits mil spec stocks absolutely fine. But obviously with a 308 or a 762 platform, I'm pretty sure they have the chunkier buffer tubes. So they've probably done this as a cost saving method. I mean, you could tell me if I'm wrong. If there's 308 rifles out there and they just use normal 5.56 buffers, fair enough. I'll admit that I'm not as clued up there, but what I will say is I have done, like, I'm pretty sure the 417s and a few other rifles I've come across in the past with 308s, they have had bigger tubes. Let me know down in the comments below.
5 months later.
This thing has been a labour of love, but I think the effort was worth it. It's been, since I started this project, I think I started at the end of July. And as you can see, it's not perfect, but it's very close in terms of how everything matched up. It's all been deep etched. Very cool, very unique looking, shall we say. Not everybody's cup of tea, I understand that. I almost didn't do the lower because this has took a very long time. But, you know, I'm glad I did because it matches. And we're going with that cobalt and titanium colour scheme. So, the upper was in titanium. It's had the deep etch. I'm using a HAO, a modified HAO FLR handguard. That's the 9.3, I think it is. Got the barrel up there. The outer barrel's custom made, machined down by Bavtac, just because he can fit this. Obviously, he's very skilled at what he does, of course, but he can fit this in his bigger, more capable machines. So, the stock tube finished in cobalt, lower half finished in cobalt 2. We have a ton of parts to install on this thing. Again, back to these boxes, they're very good. We have a lot of parts which were finished. Obviously, the barrel was finished in blackout. All these parts too were also finished in blackout. The part of the gas tube, which I mentioned before, has had to be just machined there just to make it fit around the suppressor. And all these bits and pieces. I think blackout's one of those colours that is glossy, but it tends to give things a more of a steel appearance, like it's, you know, sort of heat treated or blacked steel. All these little components, it was an absolute nightmare. Thinking I'd lost as well one of these parts while cerakoting it, and I pulled the whole sandblaster and everything apart, emptied it just to find it wasn't in the sandblasting cabinet. Anyway, it was with the rest of the parts that had been done. Somehow it had worked its way into there. But anyway, let's get this thing built. It's not going to be as much of a reassembly video for the 308, more than because I have a lot of little parts to fit in this, a lot of the levers and such, making sure the springs fit, the pins that are the faux pins, getting those in as well. So I'm just going to speed this up, and we'll be back on camera when it's almost ready to go. So we'll get this time lapsed and I'll see you on the other side.
Fire burn, a thirst and desire, you transform.
And there it is, predominantly built. I've still got to fit the inner barrel and the hot rubber, which, you know, is a no-brainer. That'll be a quick thing in. I did realise putting the upper back together that the spring that connects the charging handle to the upper receiver, I put them all in enclosed boxes. I don't know what, it's probably on this bench somewhere, but that'll just be a quick thing I could put in if I can't find one. Pretty much easy to make. But that is the 308 put back together, or now the Jaeger laser light. I did manage to shed just shy of 300 grams, pulling extra material off this upper and lower receiver, and, you know, losing little bits and pieces here and there. But it's built. I didn't put the MOE full stock on there, which is this one here, just because I wanted to show off the colour of the stock tube there, which is in the cobalt colour. But I have the option. That's a real CTR stock, fits straight on. These tubes accept mil-spec stock, so that's pretty cool. If I want it fixed, I can have it like that. If I want to put the CTR stock on, have it a bit more versatile, which I might do. I got this in a trade for some bits and bobs, and I wasn't planning to put it on this rifle, but, you know, just seemed to go on there, and it will be a bit easier getting to and from the battery using that. But this is it, all put back together. You've got the lovely laser engraving. I know some of you might not like it. I am a fan of the colour scheme there. I didn't want to cerakote the scope, and I did want to keep the scope mount black so it matches the polymer pieces. I've got a silverback carbon suppressor on the front there, the Somo Gear pet box, and obviously the scope that come with the rifle. They're not actually bad scopes at all, they're pretty good. But all the bits here, apart from obviously the trigger, but the bits on the receiver and stuff were finished in blackout. The lower receiver was cobalt, the upper receiver and the rail were in titanium, and I'm sure most of you will agree that this is a very unique piece, and it just adds that little bit more depth to the piece. I mean, I've got a lot of guns, and they're all pretty much built to a standard, but this is just something a little bit different. It's got a texture on there, and I think it looks very unique and cool. This has been a labour of love. To say that this has taken the piss would be a massive understatement. Each one of these panels that I've engraved took anywhere between 3 to 4 hours per panel. I'm going to go as far to say that this upper and lower receiver engraving took about 56 hours. And that's just time on the laser itself. That's not including the programming, the design, measuring up of these. It's been months and months and months. It's been a slow burner. But I'd just come back to it every now and again and go, oh, you know what, I'm gonna program these files ready. And then I'd have the files program ready, and then I probably wouldn't engrave it for another week or two. Just trying to find the spare time to do it. You know, I don't think I'll put a grip on the bottom of this gun, just because I don't. The reason I had this handguard is because it's nice and comfy. And this thing is so light compared to what it was before. And that was the point of it. Make it lighter, make it more agile, but still keep a nice 308 DMR. I hope you've liked this build. It's been a very unique build. The pictures on the camera and obviously photos that we've taken on and put on the Jaeger Precision Facebook page really do not do this thing justice. If I am at a game locally and you're seeing with it and you want to have a look, just come and have a look, and I'm sure you'll appreciate the detail that's gone into making this 308 very unique. Thank you very much for tuning into this video. For more custom builds, just keep subscribed to the channel. Like this video if you think I've done a good job. Dislike this video if you think I've done a bad job, if that's still a thing. Comment down below, tell me whether you like it or you don't like it. And yeah, just have a conversation in the comments down below. And I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.